The crowd was already restless when the announcement echoed through the hall, but nothing prepared them for the moment the doors opened and someone entirely unexpected walked in. A hush spread like a wave, silencing every whisper. This was supposed to be the night Adrian Hale, the reclusive millionaire everyone admired, finally stepped into the spotlight to receive the humanitarian award. Cameras were fixed toward the entrance, reporters ready to capture his rare public appearance. Yet the man they had waited for never arrived. Instead, a quiet figure appeared, blinking under the weight of dozens of judging eyes. Mira Stone clutched her small purse as though it might anchor her trembling hands. She wasn't dressed like a guest, certainly not like someone meant to appear on stage. She was simply his assistant, organized, unnoticed, and always in the background where she believed she belonged. But today she was standing exactly where she feared to be, at the center of every gaze in the room. A wave of confusion swept across the audience. Why would Adrian skip a ceremony honoring his lifetime of work? Why send someone the public had never heard of? The board members seated in the front row exchanged bewildered glances. Some leaned toward one another, whispering theories, others shaking their heads as though the situation insulted the importance of the evening. And yet, beneath all those questioning eyes, Mira kept walking. Because just 5 hours earlier, Adrian had asked her to do something she could barely understand, something she never imagined he would entrust to her. His voice still echoed in her mind, steady and certain, even as she doubted herself with every step. "Mira, you will go in my place. You're the only one who earned this moment." She had protested, insisted there were others more suitable, more confident, more polished. Adrian never raised his voice. He never tried to persuade her with pressure. He simply looked at her with a gentleness that made refusal impossible. Now, standing in the beautifully lit hall with hundreds of eyes fixed upon her, she wondered if he had made a mistake, or if he saw something in her she had never dared to see in herself. But what no one knew, not the reporters, not the board members, not the restless crowd, was that Adrian Hale had a reason for not being here tonight. A reason that would shift the entire room once revealed. A reason that would make his entrance, when it came, unforgettable. Mira waited backstage, feeling the vibrations of applause meant for someone else. Every passing second made her heartbeat louder, faster, almost painful. She kept replaying Adrian's request, searching for logic. Why choose her? Someone who rarely raised her voice, someone who blended into the background, when the ceremony was crowded with executives who carried his legacy with pride. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from Adrian's son, Noah. "You don't belong there. Leave before you embarrass him." The words sliced through her already fragile resolve, and for a moment she nearly turned around. But something stronger held her still, the memory of Adrian gripping her hand earlier, his voice low from exhaustion but unwavering. "Mira, they will measure your worth by the wrong standards. Don't let that stop you." A stage assistant tapped her shoulder, signaling that she would be called soon. Her stomach twisted. Beyond the curtain, she heard her name being mispronounced by the host, followed by puzzled laughter from the crowd. Yet before fear could swallow her, the auditorium lights flickered unexpectedly. Gasps filled the air, a sudden shift moving through the hall like electricity. Something was happening. Something no one planned. Mira froze as shadows shifted near the entrance, an outline she knew too well. And in that instant she felt a storm gathering, one that would change everything for her, for Adrian, and for everyone watching. The moment had arrived, but not in the way anyone imagined. The lights steadied, but a low murmur swept across the hall, growing louder as guests turned toward the entrance. Myra's breath hitched. She hadn't expected him, not after everything he told her earlier. Yet the silhouette remained still for a heartbeat, as if deciding whether to step forward or disappear again. Backstage, Mira pressed a hand against her chest, unsure if the tightening she felt was fear or relief. Adrian had promised he wouldn't come. He needed rest, recovery, and time away from pressure. But the figure at the doorway looked unmistakably like him, tall and composed even from a distance. Why would he come now, after sending her to represent him? A sudden thought chilled her. What if something had gone wrong? What if he hadn't come to support her, but because he couldn't let her bear the weight of the moment alone? She felt torn between stepping out to distract the audience or rushing toward him to understand why he was there. The host cleared his throat, attempting to regain control of the room, but whispers only grew. The mystery, the tension, the shock. It was impossible for anyone to focus on anything else. Then Mira saw it, the look in Adrian's eyes as he stepped fully into the light. It wasn't anger, regret, or hesitation. It was something deeper, an unspoken message that only she could recognize. Her knees weakened. Whatever she thought this night would be, it was about to change in ways neither of them had prepared for. The truth behind his appearance was seconds away from being revealed, and Mira felt the world tilt as the crowd collectively leaned in, waiting for the moment that would reshape the entire ceremony. The hall erupted in low, astonished whispers as Adrian finally stepped forward, his presence commanding every inch of the room without a single word. Mira felt rooted to the floor, unable to move, her pulse racing as she watched him walk toward the stage with a steadiness that contradicted everything she knew about his condition. He should have been resting. He should have been miles away from this pressure. Yet here he was, moving with a purpose she couldn't decipher. She stepped out from behind the curtain, unsure if she was supposed to approach him or retreat. Adrian's eyes met hers briefly, soft, apologetic, almost grateful, but he didn't slow down. Something inside her tightened. He wasn't here to reclaim the spotlight. He was here for a reason far more personal. As he neared the front row, the board members rose from their seats, unsure whether to welcome him or question his sudden appearance. Their uncertainty only fueled the tension spreading through the hall. The host stuttered, losing his prepared script entirely. Myra's hands trembled. She thought he had come to rescue her from embarrassment, to take back the responsibility he had handed her. But then she saw the letter in his hand, folded carefully, as if it carried a truth too heavy to speak aloud. When he finally reached the foot of the stage, he stopped and turned, not toward the award, not toward the audience, but toward her. A hush fell so completely over the hall that even breathing felt like a disturbance. In that fragile pause, Mira sensed that whatever came next would not only explain his arrival but reveal a truth she had never expected to hear from him, one capable of shifting her entire place in his world. The tension in the room sharpened as Adrian lifted the folded letter, his fingers trembling slightly, not from weakness but from the weight of what he was about to reveal. Myra's breath caught. She had never seen him look unsettled. Not in meetings, not in crises, not even during moments when the world demanded more than he could give. Yet tonight he looked human in a way that shook her. He gestured gently for her to step closer. Her legs felt heavy, but something in his expression pulled her forward. Each step echoed softly against the marble floor, and the audience leaned in, sensing a moment they could not yet understand. When she reached him, Adrian held out the letter, offering it not with authority but with humility. "Mira," he said softly, the microphone amplifying the quiet tremor in his voice, "they deserve to know why you're the one standing here." Her stomach tightened. She didn't know what he planned to say, but she felt exposed, as though a truth she didn't yet know was about to unfold in front of the world. The host hesitated, unsure whether to intervene, but the audience's silence warned him not to. Adrian unfolded the letter slowly, eyes never leaving Myra's. "You think I chose you because no one else was available," he began, his voice deepening with emotion. "But that's not true. I chose you because everything this award represents, you've lived it more honestly than anyone I know." A ripple of shock spread through the crowd. Myra's throat tightened painfully. But Adrian wasn't finished. He turned slightly toward the audience, his voice firming. "For years, Mira carried responsibilities none of you ever saw. She protected this company when I couldn't, guided projects when others hesitated, and stood by me with loyalty that cannot be bought or demanded." Mira felt her heart stumble. She had no idea he saw her that clearly. Then Adrian said something that made the entire room inhale sharply, something that would change the meaning of this night forever. The audience leaned forward, breath held, waiting for the meaning behind Adrian's trembling voice. Mira felt her knees weaken as he looked directly at her, the room fading until only his eyes anchored her in place. Then he spoke, quietly, but with a certainty that rippled through the hall like a wave. "This award was never meant for me. It belongs to the person who stood beside me when the world only saw shadows. It belongs to the one who kept this company alive when I was too overwhelmed to lead. It belongs to Mira." Gasps erupted. Several executives exchanged stunned glances, disbelief etched across their faces. Mira staggered back a step, shaking her head, unable to accept the weight of his words. "Adrian, no," she whispered, her voice cracking. He stepped toward her, gently taking her hand, something he had never done in public. Cameras flashed wildly. "You earned this," he continued, "not through power, not through position, but through heart. And tonight, I want the world to finally see what I've seen for years." The audience, silent, breathless, felt the sincerity radiating from him. Then Adrian turned to the crowd. "I did not skip the ceremony out of arrogance. I stepped aside so the person who truly changed my life could finally stand in the light." Myra's chest tightened as emotion surged through her. She tried to speak, but her voice broke. The applause began slowly, One person then another, until the entire hall rose to their feet, the sound overwhelming, thunderous, almost unreal. Tears blurred her vision as she looked at Adrian. "Why would you trust me with this moment?" His answer came softly, yet strong enough for the world to hear. "Because you believed in me long before anyone else did. And now, it's your turn to believe in yourself." The standing ovation grew louder, wrapping around her like a long-awaited embrace. In that moment, Mira understood that this night wasn't about the award, it was about discovering a strength she never knew she carried. And it was only the beginning of the life she was finally ready to step into.